Okay, hello, I'm Randy Ray. This is my Booktube channel, and this is the first video you're supposed to make, the Booktube Newbie Tag. So here I go. It's a bunch of questions, and I'm going to answer them. Number one is, why did you start this channel? I probably started the channel for the same reason most booktubers do. I want to talk about books with people. And I don't have that many people to talk about books anymore. I still read a lot, but most of my friends aren't readers. I suppose that might be just what we deal with living in a post-literate society right now. Although luckily, I have twin daughters and they both read a little bit, not as much as I do, but they have social lives. That was question one. Question number two. What are some fun and unique things you can bring to Booktube? Things? I am the fun and unique thing that I'm bringing to Booktube, right? So I have an English degree. I used to own a bookstore. It was one of only two all-horror bookstores in the country. It was called Erie Books, and it was located in Wiley, Texas. And it should have been named Randy's Folly, because even though it was a wonderful experience and I really enjoyed it, I lost money every month until I eventually went out of business. And anyway, more about that in future videos, right? So, I can talk about that. I can talk about the guy who visited my bookstore from Oklahoma and went into the bathroom with me so we could look at the glow-in-the-dark cover of Haunted by Chuck Palahniuk, which I didn't even know it glowed in the dark until one night when I was closing the bookstore and I noticed it over there on the counter glowing. Great gimmick, right? What are you most excited for about this new channel? That's question number three. I'm most excited to give something back to YouTube. I've been watching people like Michael K. Vaughn and Steve Donahue and Criminale now for about a year. Steve Donahue in particular is very encouraging about starting your own Booktube channel. So here I am, thought I'd give it a try. Question number four, why do you love reading? I've always loved reading. It's an opportunity to get inside other people's heads in a way that we're not able to. It's also an active form of entertainment, as opposed to watching television, which is a very passive form of entertainment. And I do too much of that too. If I watched less television, I'd probably read more. When I was growing up, you couldn't get a book out of my hands, but I didn't have a cell phone then either. You can probably tell that by my age. Number five, what book or series got you into reading? When I was very young, my mom bought me a lot of those Reader's Digest condensed books about the classics, but I also read the Hardy Boys and Nancy Drew. From there, I moved on to the Sherlock Holmes books, which I devoured, and The Hobbit, which I really, really loved, and then The Lord of the Rings. I came to the game of Dungeons and Dragons via the books The Lord of the Rings, rather than getting to the Lord of the Rings books via Dungeons and Dragons, which I think is how a lot of people do it these days. Number six, what questions would you ask your favorite booktubers? I don't know that I could come up with any questions that they haven't already answered. Hasn't Steve Donahue posted 6,000 videos by now? If he hasn't answered my question in there somewhere, he's probably going to keep it private. So, and he's posted a Booktube Newbie Tag somewhere along the line that answered all these questions. There's nothing wrong with these questions. These questions are great. Number seven, what challenges do you think starting a Booktube channel will be the hardest to overcome? Most of those challenges are probably due to my personality. I'm a chronic procrastinator. I have some chronic illnesses these days, which slow me down on just about everything. But I'm going to try to be consistent. I'm going to try to post something every day. We'll see how that works. The technological challenges apparently have been taken care of. My phone seems to work fine on this tripod that I'm using. So here I am. Here we go. Number eight, when did you start reading? I learned to read in first grade. My mom loved to read. She was a subscriber to both Alfred Hitchcock Mystery Magazine and Ellery Queen Mystery Magazine. When I was 12 years old, she bought me a subscription to the Magazine of Fantasy and Science Fiction and to Asimov's Science Fiction Magazine, which I love. And I still love reading those because it gives me an opportunity to find new authors. But I started reading long before that. I mean, when I was 12 years old, I was either in 6th or 7th grade. I have a lifetime subscription to the Magazine of Fantasy and Science Fiction now. It's a very different magazine than it was when I was a boy, which will probably also make an interesting topic for a future video. That was number 8. Number 9, where do you read? I mostly read at home. I don't get out much these days, which is really odd because up until my chronic illness, I was very active. I went to an AA meeting every day. I went out to lunch or dinner every day. Not both, though. I went to the movies every week. My daughters and I went to the bookstores every Saturday. I don't do any of that anymore. I get out to eat twice a month now, and I go to a couple of doctor's appointments a month. So where do I read? I read right here at home. I have a book in my house that's devoted exclusively to reading. I'll show it off in one of my future videos. I call it my library, but it's a very, very small room. I have a very small house. And, so I've got a name for my house too. Inspired by Steve Donahue and Michael K. Vaughan, who both have names for their houses. This is coming to you live. Actually, it's not coming to you live. It's coming to you pre-recorded. But it's coming to you pre-recorded from Driftwood Ranch. Came up with that before I launched the channel. Number 10, what kind of books do you like to read? I have very eclectic reading tastes. I don't read a lot of horror fiction anymore. I'm in the middle of course, I'm going to show off this book, Sandman Slim, right now, which is urban fantasy. And when I finish that, I'm going to read a memoir called Arbitrary Stupid Goal. Here's something I got for Christmas that I'd like to show off. This is called The Unquotable Trump. And what the artist has done is take famous comic book covers and replace the villain with Donald Trump and replaced all the dialogue on each of the covers with actual Donald Trump quotes. This was my favorite Christmas present this year. It's really, really cool. And I haven't seen anybody talk about this, so I'm not sure that anybody else has seen it. But look, notice there's a Popeye cover. Real famous stuff there. Tomorrow I'm probably going to do a video about the books that are sitting on my desk that I need to read. And number 11 says, sometimes done, what does your book collection look like? It used to be full of some really nice, expensive books, but that was before I went broke. Now it's full of lots of really interesting, cool books that I bought cheap. So that is my Booktube Newbie video. Thanks for the inspiration, guys. Those of you I watch on Booktube. And this is the only video I'm going to make and post today, but I might post 2 videos tomorrow. We'll see.